One of the big questions is, what is money?
For practical purposes, it exists in a series of heterogeneous databases, very different databases.
Do you believe in crypto?
Digital currency may be an answer, but it is the highly speculative asset.
I do own Bitcoin.
There is no second best.
Welcome to the Crypto Curious podcast, your weekly crypto crash course. Every Wednesday, join us in the dynamic world of cryptocurrencies. We cover everything from major news stories to short, sharp news bites. If you're new to crypto, we recommend starting with our early episodes where we break down the basics and give you a solid foundation to understand the crypto world. Tune in, laugh and learn. It's crypto made easy. This week, something a little different. We have the opportunity to interview a friend of ours named Colton Dillon. So we thought we'd do that for you folks. Colton is a co-founder of Degen, and Blake and I thought we would have a chat while we had the opportunity. Colton, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Trace. Thanks, Blake.
Maybe you could start by giving us a little bit of a background on how you came into the crypto market itself.
So the first time I heard about crypto was probably in 2014. I was working for a company in the United States called Acorns, and we eventually opened up an office in Australia as Acorns Australia, which became Raiz. I was at a conference and somebody was talking about, they asked me whether I thought Bitcoin would be a good exchange value for banks and things like that. I had said I had no idea what you're talking about. I have to look into it. Ultimately, at the time, I was like, yeah, I think it'll be good as sort of a finality arrangement. I don't think that exchanges will use it largely as day-to-day transactions, but it'll be good for finality in the same way that we kind of have ACH in the US. Ultimately, I think that thesis is playing out because as Bitcoin gets more popular, the prices are going to rise in terms of transacting for average people. And so it'll turn into this settlement layer. But that was the first time I got involved with crypto. And then I got 5,000 free Stellar because I was early enough to Stellar. And I started playing with it more. And in 2017, I had a bunch of clients for a consultancy I was working with who all broke their contracts in the same month. So I started looking for escrow solutions and I found out about Ethereum and smart contracts. And I was like, this is amazing. If only I could convince people to actually hold Ethereum back in 2017, this would be great. And so I started working in the crypto space and trying to make that a reality.
So fascinating, Colton. And I know you've been in crypto for some time now, full bottle, working on various projects. And obviously Degen, which is the project that you're on now and you're a co-founder on, has got a lot of traction since launching. So do you want to take us through what Degen is and how it was founded?
Yeah, so Degen is a token on Base, meme token, and it originally got its start on a decentralized social network called Farcaster. And we also launched a chain, Degen L3, which rolls up to Coinbase's Base L2. I got started with it actually because at my previous business, I had an employee, Jacek Trasinski, who we parted ways in November last year. And he was like, I think I'm going to start a new token. I want to do something in SocialFi. So he was hanging out in the /Degen channel on Farcaster, and they were all talking about launching a token. And he said, you know what, I'm going to do it. 2 weeks later, he launched this coin, and he airdropped it to everyone who had been active on Farcaster for a while. He asked me if I wanted to join in on that. And so I said, yes, I would love to help. Then it started blowing up and all these people started coming out of the woodwork, and there were anons who were like, hey, can I help you with this coin? And he was like, Colton, I really need your help. I trust you. You're the person who got me into crypto. And so we should work together more closely on this.
Do you want to explain what Farcaster is then for people listening that don't have a clue?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, Farcaster is a decentralized social media network. It's sort of like Twitter or now X.com. Anyone can put content out there on Farcaster and you can upload videos and anyone can like and comment it. Very similar to Twitter if you ever used it. But it's also decentralized, and we added this feature onto it where essentially if you comment 500 Degen, 1,000 Degen on any post, that person will receive an airdrop of 500 Degen at the end of the month. It's become a way for people to reward each other for producing content on this decentralized social network and to sort of rate content. So ideally, if you were to sort all of the casts by total Degen awarded, you would see all the best content from the last month.
That kind of reminds me of the kudos system on Reddit, but of course they're not tradable at all, but very similar. And I think it's really interesting social mechanism for incentivizing good quality content on a platform.
Yeah, we totally agree. And we've seen that bear out. And you also get these kind of funny like clubs that show up. So obviously the failure mode is people just say, oh, you tip me, I'll tip you. But people started like having fun with that, where they created these role-playing games. So there was this one channel that got started where people were pretending that tipping was their job, and like they would give each other 401ks, which is like the retirement fund in the US. And so people have learned to use it in these very creative ways and created apps around tipping and micro subscriptions and things like that.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, we got some high-level stats here, Colton. There's 785,000 holders of the Degen token, 11 million transactions, and the token reached a high of $700 million US, which is over $1 billion Australian dollars. So incredible growth here. And you've dubbed it the meme with a dream. So do you want to tell us where that came about and what the vision is for the project?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, it all started in the /Degen channel on Farcaster. And so obviously it's a lot of people fooling around who love just yeeting currency into whatever the new meme coin is. You know, that was part of the fun, was that we were dreaming about all of the memes becoming real. And Doge was probably the original meme coin, and they got started with this tipping mechanism on Reddit. And a lot of people, we think that meme coins are these ways for communities to form, to have their own currency, and to sort of have something to gather around in terms of creating new content that's funny, that's engaging. And that's how meme coins gather followers. You have these people who are inspired by the meme itself to create shareable, snackable content, and then to use that as the coin of the realm, where if you want someone to do something for you, to program a small piece of software, Farcaster has this thing called a frame, where essentially you can create random software that interacts with different blockchains, and it turns it into a very simple, clickable experience instead of something that you have to jump around different blockchains and understand smart contracts for. And so people started producing frames for each other on Farcaster and making these very useful, like easy-to-use experiences. And they started using Degen as a way to incentivize people or reward people for having created this experience.
So Degen has been described as the Las Vegas of blockchains. Do you want to maybe explain or unpack how that came about?
So it started as a token, and then as it was taking off in February, March, there was some chat about maybe we can turn this meme into something that's also useful. And so we thought about it, and there was this whole meta around launching dApp chains or layer 3 networks. And so we said, yeah, we think that we can create a place to host all these software developers who are really excited, because Farcaster, was very centered around developers and people who really cared about the deep stuff around blockchains. And so we thought that we could provide sort of an indie developer home for them, where they could launch very inexpensive experiments and see what sticks. And we happen to just have some dApps that have stuck around for that.
How many?
It's available if you look at our Block Explorer. We work with Block Scout on making all of that information available, but there's quite a large number of smart contracts that have deployed on Degen chain.
Yeah, and just going back to Tracy's question, the Las Vegas of blockchains, obviously that's a headliner and probably a title for this episode. Where did that come from?
Yeah, so Jacek is a smart guy, and he just has a feel for tidy coinages, like fun phrases and stuff. He thought about it, and everyone came together in Degen to gamble, right? That's why you're a Degen, you're here to gamble. And the cool thing about Las Vegas was it started out as gambling, but then it turned into this really amazing collection of experiences where you can go to Las Vegas and get the best food in the world, see the best performances, drive a Ferrari, shoot the biggest guns. You can do anything in Las Vegas. And all of that experience is under that single brand of Las Vegas. And so when we think about what do we want to be in the world of blockchains, is we want to be Las Vegas. People may come here to gamble, but they also come here because that's where the best content is. That's where the best new software recipes are. That's where you're going to find what's cool, what's new, and the very best performers and all of those things. And so that's really what we aspire to, is to make Degen a home like that.
It's really cool. And Degen's obviously built on top of the base layer 2, which is Coinbase's layer 2. They've obviously gathered a lot of momentum over the past 12 months since launching it, and it's attracting a lot of builders. So what attracted you to Base versus another layer 2 infrastructure? And what's your experience been like building on top of that?
Yeah, we love Base Network. The costs are very cost effective. And Coinbase has done a really good job of creating a community of builders who are active, who care, and who produce high quality content. And at the time, it was very new. There weren't a lot of people deployed there, but there was some excitement around it within the developer community on Farcaster. And so it felt like the right place to deploy back in January of this year, 2024. And so it turned out to be a great choice. We had the summer of Base, on-chain summer, and that whole spring, both Farcaster and Base blew up. If you look at the volumes, it all peaked approximately at the end of March, middle of April. And we just managed to catch that wave, and it's been a really great experience ever since. So we've been working closely with the Coinbase wallet team and Jesse, the creator of Base, who has now been taken Coinbase wallet under his wing. And they've been really amazing partners in terms of nurturing that ecosystem.
Look, we just spoke about the dApps on the chain, and maybe we can go into a few of those. Obviously, I've looked at the Degen swap, and you've got Bountycaster as well. With those, how do they shape the experience of the Degen holders moving forward?
Yeah, so a lot of dApps on Degen chain are also integrated with Farcaster. Bountycaster is an interesting one because you can comment on Farcaster like, hey, here's a bounty, 10,000 Degen, 1 million Degen, and anyone can post a solution to that bounty, and then you can claim it and claim the Degen that the person was offering for that bounty. Jeeves is more of an explorer and a game that goes with Farcaster. And so we're very integrated into that social network and into that ecosystem. People have started to experiment with how can you make social media bots do something useful for people. And so that's been a really cool, fun thing to experiment. So we just launched a partnership with Mint Club, where essentially you can tip someone with Degen and they can receive a random token that Mint Club actually mints out for them. So it's an easy way to launch a new token. You essentially launch it on Mint Club and then people can tip each other with it. And so it's really cool what people have been coming up with this very simple primitive of just like, yeah, we use a bot to check all of the casts that go through Farcaster. And at the end of the month, we reward you with the tips. And people have been building all sorts of dApps. There's another one called Microsub, where essentially you can give a percentage of your tip allowance to different creators on Farcaster. And so at the end of the month, they basically receive a subscription from you. And so it's been really cool to play with some of these peer-to-peer ways of recreating Substack or recreating OnlyFans, I guess, is another example.
So that was an example of some dApps. Any other initiatives or partnerships that are exciting you've got coming up?
Yeah, so we have some pretty exciting stuff that's upcoming. It's awaiting some minor background changes, but one thing we're really looking forward to is launching a new bridge where essentially you'll be able to bridge Degen to almost any network, including Solana, Arbitrum, Optimism, ETH mainnet. And then we're also working with some other meme coin communities to actually bring that to them too. So they'll be able to bridge to Degen and to all of these other places, and they'll all be tradable in the same place. So we call it the meme stack, where essentially if you're a meme community, you'll be able to quickly turn on these features and be tradable on any network, and also be able to add sort of this tipping culture to your meme community.
That's so fascinating. Well, before we finish up, is there anything else that you want to share with our listeners about the project?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of cool things that are waiting. One thing that's been really exciting for me is that we're growing into a world of AI, and you're just going to be flooded with content for the foreseeable future. And so we need to come up with these better ways of filtering out the bots, filtering out this fake content. We think that tipping might be an easy way to do that, where essentially you can reward creators who are producing real things and it's not just AI slop. And then you can also use that as a record saying, oh, these are people who thought that this content was really good. And if bot farmers want to fake that, then they have to pay, and they have to pay you, the user, to do that. And so we're really looking at how does this new world evolve to combat some of these new technologies that are going to ruin community and ruin social media. And how can we make that a more peer-to-peer interaction without having some of these larger corporations inserting themselves between you and the person who you want to have a parasocial relationship with?
Yeah, fascinating, mate. Well, we've been so excited to watch all of your success over the past few months. And we're excited to continue to watch you, and maybe we'll get an update in a year and see everything that's gone by in that time. Thank you so much for joining us, and we very much appreciate your time.
Absolutely. And what we'll do for our listeners, we'll put some show notes below so you can check out Degen. And again, thanks for joining us. For you out there, thanks for being with us today. As per usual, we'll be back to our regular episodes, Crypto Curious. For now, stay curious, stay connected. You can do this by joining the Crypto Curious Facebook group and our Instagram page. Be sure to hit the subscribe button where you're listening to us now, and you can DCA into the crypto market by looking at the Bamboo app. Don't forget to use the Curious code for $10 of free Bitcoin to get you started. There's a link in the show notes below. Thanks for listening, folks. See you again.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks for having me.